Good day, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talking Travel with me, Yomi, the Flying Gazelle. This is our second episode. If you missed our debut episode where I chatted with the delightful Mo from Bespoke Experiences by M, where she talks everything Ghanaian travel, please check that out when you have some time. But before I go on, by way of introduction, like I said, I'm Yomi Rokio. I am the founder of Flying Gazelle. We specialize in expert level advisory and booking services for our clients, all customized, all tailor-made. So whatever you're looking for in terms of travel, please get in touch with us. We're happy to assist you. I'm super excited to be chatting today with a good friend of mine. I've known this man for, I think, probably 18, 19 years. I'm sure he'll correct me when he gets on to talk. But super excited to chat with him because he's always been in the travel business, always specialized in a specific area. And I think it'll add a lot of value for our audience to understand what he does, his offerings, his destination. I don't want to steal his thunder. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce you to a dear friend of mine, Jose Brenes. And Jose, I'd love for you to come on, talk about yourself, talk about your profession and how you got into the travel industry.
Thank you, Yomi, and good morning, and hello to you in New York City, and hello from San Jose, Costa Rica. It's been, a pleasure knowing you all these years and collaborating together with work and travel to Costa Rica. And I know you've been here before, and I've taken care of some of your friends that have come and visit us, and they're coming in the new months. Basically, the travel industry has been my passion, for Costa Rica all my life. That's what I went to. I studied business administration related to tourism in the University of Internacional de las Americas here in San Jose, Costa Rica in the early 90s. So that was my formation. I was passionate about, discovering the national parks and always going into hikes and just traveling around my country. So tourism seemed to be a better fit for the lifestyle and career that I wanted to pursue. And as soon as after, even before I finished my degree in college, I started working at a local travel company at DMC back in 1992. So, it's been, 32 years now since I'm part of this amazing industry. I feel like I'm an ambassador for Costa Rica just because I speak very passionately about, the love of my country and all these amazing different destinations and people and just wildlife and breathtaking sceneries and coastlines, rainforests, volcanoes that we have here. So that prompted me into, study tourism and roll into the travel industry for, many years as of today. So it's something that it's to my heart, it's something that I speak very passionately, and I do this on a daily basis, and it's always so refreshing to speak with my customers and just give them a glimpse of and enthusiasm about what they're going to experience when they travel here. I was born and raised in Costa Rica. I studied tourism here. I went to English school here as well. Then I had the opportunity to move to the United States very young to as an exchange student. And that allowed me to learn English as much as I could, and came back to Costa Rica, went to school again, major in tourism, and then I ventured out to New York for 14 years. And that's came back from New York to Costa Rica, and in 2012, and ever since I've been involved in some of the best travel companies, DMCs in Costa Rica, that we welcome the majority of clients from North America. We also have clients from South America as well as Europe.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you for walking us through all that. And you come with a lot of chops, as you mentioned. This is something you studied. This is something that you've been passionate about. This is something that you've done practically your entire adult life in terms of your career. So you certainly come with a lot of credibility. That's super exciting. And for our viewers, we met when you were here in New York working for another company at the time, I believe it was. And I'm so grateful to have kept this friendship and this relationship all these years. So Costa Rica, right? This is the destination, and for our viewers, this is actually something I learned recently, having just kind of pivoted into doing this professionally. When we say DMC, we're talking about a destination management company. So these are folks who are full service, manage everything from soup to nuts in terms of you arrive at a location, they pick you up from the airport, all of the logistics, all through your time in that particular destination. They fully handle everything. And that's what our company does, the Flying Gazelle. We partner with people like Jose, particularly locals on the ground who are experts about what they do, and they handle everything for you, again, from soup to nuts. So it's a super exciting thing to be a part of, and I'm super happy for you. So you've talked a lot about Costa Rica passionately, and you've actually talked a little bit about this in terms of your intro. But if you don't mind leaning into it, just maybe give us a pretty little snapshot around why Costa Rica. Why should people be interested in visiting Costa Rica for those who have not visited? Like you mentioned earlier, I've been before. I really enjoyed it. It's just the nature, the 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 nature, right, and the wildlife, as you mentioned, the food, the people, it's all fantastic. But I'll let you kind of delve into that a little bit.
Well, it's always been, in up in popularity, for many, many, many years. I remember Travel Nation magazine named Costa Rica the top travel destination of 2024. So there you go. It's We're blessed with being in Central America, nestled between two oceans. We have the Atlantic or Caribbean side on one side, and then the Pacific on one side. It's a small country, it's the size of West Virginia. In the United States, just to give you an idea, we have over 25% of the land is protected by the government for national parks and refuges. So the country has contributed a lot to, get more land protected. And also we are a very eco-friendly, destination. We are one of the best eco-friendly countries in the world, just because we want to make sure that a lot of, the hotels that we work with and all these, the tours that we arrange, they have to be certified by the Institute of Tourism in Costa Rica, and also make sure that they give back to the community. So that's
Yeah,
something that is very, very important. And why Costa Rica? Well, it's very diverse. This is the country where you find extremely beautiful beaches, two coastlines, rugged rainforests, the volcanoes, thermal springs, natural rivers, light blue waters all over the place. Wildlife, you name it, from monkeys, toucans, and tapirs, and all
sloth.
over the place. Sloths, the sloths, people come, the clients and the kids are crazy about sloths. And they always ask us, I want to see a sloth. So we make sure that, we put them out in the right direction. So why Costa Rica? If you want to discover a true natural country that is within proximity to the United States. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? It's very different than, let's say, it's not just the Caribbean destination. It's not just a beach destination that you would compare it to, say, Mexico or the Dominican Republic. But in this country, there's a lot of stuff for everybody. It's a
yeah,
small country, like I said, and people usually tend to come for a week to 10 days. But because we have so many things available, we have a lot of people that come back to Costa Rica several times. They because they want to explore other parts of the country that they didn't have a chance to
yeah,
to see in the first place. So it's affordable. It's very peaceful. We have one of the longest democracies in Latin America. Our first government was established in 1821, and we elect our presidents, every 4 years, very peacefully. So that itself, it's a great added value for someone looking to come to Latin America to find a destination that is very peaceful, that has a stable government, and the people are going to feel welcome.
yeah.
Um, Costa Rica, the government has implemented a lot of programs and invested a lot of money in tourism because it's their number one income to the country. Therefore, we have like a tourist police, and the government has made sure that when tourists are here, they feel safe, they feel protected, and they always travel without a problem. Because of the topography of the country, where we have a lot of mountains in between, the norm is that it takes a few hours from place to place. So, with that said, the ideal package to Costa Rica, if you think about, in a week, it would be starting like a few nights, in the volcano in the rainforest, and then off to the beach for the remaining part of the trip.
Yeah.
I would say two of the top destinations have to be the Arenal volcano, which is a cone-shaped volcano located on the north side of the country. That's where we have the thermal springs that are naturally fed by the volcano that can only be found in that part of Costa Rica. So thermal springs are, something 100% natural. And it looks like the Garden of Eden that, we're blessed with this beautiful river that comes around the volcano, and it lands on some of the properties, on the perimeter of the volcano. So a lot of people come and visit this area to do the adventure tours, La Fortuna or the Arenal volcano. It's a world-renowned adventure destination. That's where that's what you get all the adrenaline done. That's where you get all the excitement by hiking the best mountains, the hanging bridges, doing the best zip lines, the best whitewater rafting,
Yeah.
a waterfall rappelling. You can do all the great adventure tours there and still be, in awe of, just the surrounding, the mountains and the wildlife. And then from there, if you want to tame your trip a little bit, then just go off the coast and spend the remaining time of the trip by hitting one of the beaches that we have here. Basically, the Pacific coast is the most renowned coastline, and it's basically divided in Central Pacific and North Pacific. When we look at the Central Pacific, we're looking at a rugged coastline where the ocean meets the rainforest, and that's where we have more visible animals all over the place.
Mm.
So, and it's more intact. It's not as developed, and we tend to have smaller hotels in these areas, about 30, 40 rooms, just because the topography doesn't allow to build bigger rooms. I mean, bigger hotels. And we also want to protect the environment. There's laws in the country that doesn't allow to build large hotels in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
So, and then we also have the North Pacific, where we have the larger resorts and the all-inclusive resorts and the higher resorts, because there's more land to build larger properties in that part of Costa Rica, and that will give you great access to the beach, easy access to the beaches, and some of the best wildlife, and also easy destinations or day activities.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of
Yeah.
listening to the clients and understanding what they want and what's on their wish list, what do they want to experience. A lot of, my clients have always told me, I want to start with doing the adventure part and then just do a more relaxing part of the trip at the beach.
Correct. No, thanks for walking through all that. And that's the great thing about Costa Rica as a destination. There is really, truly something for everybody. And the biodiversity is just super remarkable if you're into nature, wildlife, but also, of course, as you mentioned, the beaches are also very interesting, volcano, thermals, hot springs, etc. So really something for everybody. And I think you touch on something that's, you know, I love the fact that the government really leans into protecting the environment, etc. So you've been into sustainability before even really it became a thing in the world. So well done to you all on leading that charge and continuing to protect the environment and just creating a really remarkable space for all of us to enjoy. And there is a saying you all say, right? Pura Vida, right?
Pura vida, pure life.
Yeah, pure life, pure life.
Pure life, yeah, we say pura vida for everything. That's just our Tico thing. Tico, it's the diminutive for Costa Rica, and TICO. So we call Ticos in Central America, and the way of Pura Vida is that you come here to relax and explore. So if you ask me, how are you today, Jose? Pura Vida.
You're right then.
Good night, Jose. Pura Vida.
Yep.
How's your food? Pura Vida.
Yep.
Enjoy your ride. Pura Vida. So we always live this, life of course, of being responsible with the jobs and the tax and stuff, but it's a very sort of easy and a tranquil sort of way of living,
Yeah.
in Costa Rica. And we do it passionately, we do it professionally, we do it responsibly, but at the same time, it's not in a rushed way
Correct.
to get things done. We get things done, but we just do it in a pura way, be that way that it's a service and it's a way of life.
Correct. Correct.
So that, and also going back to one of the questions that you said, that why do it with something, directly. The most important thing is, like, say, if someone books a trip with me, is that you're talking to the real person. You're talking to the real deal instead of going, because Costa Rica, there's a lot of information out there that can make the person feeling overwhelmed with so much information out there, and there's so much destinations. The distances are always a factor. The roads are a factor. The distances, between place to place. So planning a trip with someone local that, since I'm here, that it's just easier. Would just
Yep.
make your life easier just because you're talking to the real person. You're talking to someone that is very knowledgeable. They will always guide you in the right direction and be delighted to be part of the planning process. And, and it is, it's understandable. It's a tricky destination. People think that just because it's a small country, you may, it's easy to travel from place to place. But when we put together itineraries and people are like, oh my God, it's 3 hours to get to the volcano. I don't want to be in the 3 hours. And I always have to say, don't think that we have the roads like you guys have in the United States, that these are, like highways with, trees along the sides, and it's going to be boring. No, our drives are like tours themselves because our drivers are very professional, and then we always, find these great lookup points along the way. These drivers, our drivers do this on a daily basis. So believe it or not, if they drive by a tree on the way to the volcano where they had a family of sloths, guess what? The next day, the driver is going to pass by that, and the slots are going to be there. So
Yeah.
there's just key elements that we have that we always make sure that our clients, get the best feel of the country,
Yep.
that get the Pura Vida life, of course, and also just, leave them with joy and memories that will last for a lifetime, not only for the beautiful things that they would experience in Costa Rica by, the natural wonders, but also by the warmth of the people and the level of service that we provide.
Awesome. 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 And so, speaking of, for people who are interested in visiting the country, who are thrilled by everything you're saying, what's usually the best time to visit Costa Rica? Like, are there seasons, high season, low season? Yeah, what's the best time to visit Costa Rica?
We have technically two seasons, the dry season or our summer, and the low season or green season or rainy season. But since the weather patterns have changed dramatically all over the world, things are changing here as well. But for the norm, our summer kicks in December, the end of November, beginning of December, and it goes through mid-May.
So
That's when,
typically the reverse for North America, for Europe.
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So your winter is going to be our summer
Hmm.
because we are, closer to the equator.
South America. Yeah.
And that's what happens. So during the high season, of course, we get the best weather, great weather all over the place. Even if you still visit, a rainforest or something, you may get a little bit of rain just because the rainforest
Yeah.
does need the rain to survive, but it's not something that it's, a bigger of a problem. You're looking at beautiful, sunny, warm days pretty much all over
Yeah.
during those months, December through April. It's high season, so it means that, prices are going to be significantly higher than the other season. Then we also have the big holiday season, which is, December, January, which is for the holidays, usually from the 20th of December through the 5th of January. That's what we call the peak season. Weather-wise is great, but that's pretty much like the most visited time of the year, and also the most expensive time of the year.
So
Be
December
December 20th through the 5th, just
Gotcha.
because it's the end of the year. And that's not just Costa Rica alone. It's pretty much all over the world. During that time of the year, you pay premium prices. Usually hotels tend to be 35% higher, and also flights are going to be more expensive.
Awesome.
The low season kicks in May through, let's say, technically speaking, November, where we also have the beginning of the rainy season. But the rainy season is not that we get torrential rain all the time. It's just it gets very tropical, very like
Yeah.
Florida or Hawaii,
Yeah.
where you're enjoying your time in the rainforest or hiking, and then you get a passing shower that doesn't last too long for an hour or two, that just makes things greener, makes more lusher, and it
Yeah.
allows us to have more visible wildlife,
Yeah.
and it's just
And for
more
people
beautiful.
who, if you don't mind me interrupting, and for people who don't really mind that, that could still be a good time for them to visit because things are lush, things are green, they can see the vegetation, and they don't, if they're not bothered by the rain, then that might also be a decent time for them to visit the country. No?
Certainly, and it makes more sense just because the rain usually kicks in the evening. Usually around like 6, then we get like a passing shower for dinner, and just stops just before you're finishing up dinner. But that's the norm during that time. And so the activities are not affected by the rain, at all. All of our tours continue on with the rain. People know that they're gonna be enjoying, the activities without being affected by the rain. And also, it's just very beautiful to see the country in a different color. That's what Costa Rica, Costa Rica's rich coast. When
Yeah.
Christopher Columbus arrived in Costa Rica in 1492 and came into the Caribbean coast, he said, "Oh, this is rich coast."
Mhm.
That's what Costa Rica comes from. Rich coast from Christopher Columbus, because everything is so green and lush and tropical.
Yeah.
Um, During the low season, rates tend to be lower on certain months. Like, things are changing now. It used to be like the same norm for lower prices from May through November, but now July, August, and June are being high season, just because the demand of foreign travelers coming to Costa Rica for that time, especially American families. They come with their families during, their school, the kids' school break.
Mhm.
So June, July, and August are now high season again in terms of pricing. In
Sure.
terms of weather, it's pretty much the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
September, October, that's when we have the best rates, the best availability, the best deals in terms of hotels will seldom give us, stay 3 nights, pay for only two,
Yeah.
and a lot of perks. September tends to be a little bit more rainy in some parts of Costa Rica. October can be a little bit even more rainier in some parts of Costa Rica, but that's why we come here, to be of service. So
Yeah.
if you're looking to be at the beach, the funny thing is that October and September, when we have more rain on the Pacific side, the Caribbean side stays drier.
Yeah.
So the Caribbean side is when it's beautiful weather during September, October, and in November. And that's what I would recommend for people coming to Costa Rica during that time frame for better weather.
Awesome. Thanks for walking us through all that as well. That's great for our audience to know what times of the year are more conducive to what. And it sounds like really any part of the year one can still enjoy it. It depends on what you're
Mhm.
interested in, etc. So that's great. We're going to try to start to wrap this up. It's been super fantastic talking to you. I'm going to link Jose's details in the transcripts once this gets posted so that you can find him. Of course, if you want to book services through Jose, you can come through us, the Flying Gazelle, and we'll link you and make sure that you have an exceptional experience with him. And so to try to wrap this up a little bit, are you up for playing a little bit of a game so that we can get to know you a little bit better? Just a couple questions. Uh,
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
all right.
So Before I want to go into that,
Yeah, please.
so it's always very important. My advice to people that are not familiar with Costa Rica, that are planning a trip to Costa Rica or thinking about it, always do it with someone that knows the country very well because that's going to be your best asset. Things happen. We've noticed, recently, we just got hit by, the tail of Hurricane Sarah, and we got a torrential rain. One airport was closed for a couple of days. So there were a lot of disruptions, and changes and roadblocks and stuff. And we have a 24/7 concierge service available for our clients that make people's lives easier.
Okay.
Because so we will always take care of them in the event of unforeseen weather patterns or
Yeah.
things that happen, anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking about, being the road closures, people come here and rent a car and they just want to do like an Airbnb here and there. Then I don't have anybody
Yeah.
to back up the trip. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It sounds like the moral of the story is definitely book with somebody who's an expert, right, in the area. We definitely want to reiterate that. So just to make sure we don't run out of time, I want to get those questions.
Okay.
Yeah. And so what's your favorite thing to do while you're on vacation?
Well, when I'm in Costa Rica and I'm in vacation, I want to jump into the ocean and swim as much as I can, just because the ocean is just so liberating and the temperature in the water is always like 70 degrees. So it's just fantastic just to swim and do a little bit of snorkeling everywhere I can in Costa Rica. That's where when I think about Costa Rica, I go for a trip. And also find a thermal river. During my recent trips into other parts of Costa Rica, we've found these amazing thermal rivers that are heated by volcanic activity. And that's just something spectacular because you get to float, on the river and just be surrounded by this lush, amazing nature. So that stands out as the best things for me to do in Costa Rica. And when I travel abroad, I would say castles castles and lots of history, lots of museums, cities,
What's
and
your what's your favorite
cultural.
what's your favorite castle or city to visit?
I was blown away by the Fontainebleau Palace outside Paris.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I visited it. That's where Napoleon used to live. So just the the whole,
The
thing
grandeur.
and the grandeur of the era and how they celebrated their kings and emperors and the everything. There was just there's so much history, you know what I mean? And so we as little we take social studies and education on everywhere in every country in the world. So when you get to explore what we studied when we were kids and you see them live, then
Like,
it's a life-changing
of course.
moment for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Thank you. And then number two, what's on your radar these days in terms of the next place, the next travel destination, or just a place that you'd like to visit in future?
In the future, well, Turkey, it's on my list. I haven't made it to Turkey. Turkey and Portugal, I think, are going to be on my list for next travel. And this year, I didn't have a chance to travel abroad. The year before, I went to India for the first time for 2 weeks, and it was just completely mind blowing. It's something that I didn't want to do a lot of research or have a lot of expectations until I got there, and it was just completely mind blowing and very different from what I had thought about. The big, I think, lesson with India that it does change your heart and your life is that
And
you get to receive that we are all the same.
yeah,
We're all alike. We
yeah,
may look different on the outside, but we all want love, abundance, respect, and in for one another.
That's
Whether you believe in, God or Ganesha or something else, that's totally irrelevant. I think that as humans, and especially seeing that it changes your life, so it makes you appreciate where you come from, and
yeah.
it makes appreciate the fact that you're more open to discover new countries where things are very, very different from what you're used to.
Absolutely. It is a magical place. I've been once and I'm dying to get back there. And you're right, it's life changing. It's life changing and it's remarkable. And it's all of those things. And yeah, we're all part of one human fabric, right? So, I think that definitely gets reaffirmed and underscored in places like that. I definitely want to see more of it. And Portugal is great. Like you said, Turkey, you want to get to is another fantastic place, and I'm sure you'll get there. And yeah, use the Flying Gazelle. We'll take care of you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Anyway, Jose, my friend, it's been a pleasure chatting with you today. Thank you for all of your insightful bits about Costa Rica. I hope that our audience is inspired to take a trip soon. And thank you so much for imparting us with such wisdom and knowledge about your country. I think it's one of those places that just really, truly is remarkable and creates great experiences for everybody. So thanks again. And in the last minute or so, anything else you'd want to share? Anything else you want to impart on our audience?
Well, I work with a Costa Rican vacations and the NAMU travel group. We are it's an US company based in San Jose, Costa Rica. We all live here. We're all locals, so our jobs are to provide our customers with the best service available. We have a 24/7 concierge service here in Costa Rica. We always check the hotels, and we always make sure that the hotels are hotels, transportation, and tours are up to the standards of our clients. So that is something that we take in consideration extremely well, because just we want to make sure that your trip is uneventful. And I don't know if you need my contact information, but
I'll
I
link
can
all
give
that
you.
stuff. Yeah. So,
Okay,
so once this gets posted, all of that stuff will be in the transcripts I include with the video so that you can easily find Jose. And again, you can always come through myself, through the Fly Gazelle, but all the details will be in there and they'll be
wonderful.
able to find you.
No,
So
it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure,
yeah,
and I always feel so happy. Like I said, I always felt like I'm an ambassador for the country because I'm very passionate speaking about what we have here, what we've accomplished. All these years, being in the business for so long, you've seen the country grow tremendously. When we started up in the 90s, we had a few mountain lodges here and there, and now this year the Ritz-Carlton is coming in, the Six Senses is coming in, Four Seasons open a new property. And so it's becoming, a very, very high-end destination that
all
can,
ranges, all
all
ranges,
regions,
all
all
ranges.
regions, yeah.
Great. And
The majority of like the North Pacific coast seems to be like the golden coast of the country, and just because we have an airport that is closer to the beaches and to these hotels, so if people want to come, to let's say Liberia International Airport and be close to the beaches, they can certainly do that. But the country's more than that. The country's more than that. And people come to Costa Rica not only once but several times. We have clients that come down to Costa Rica at least 5 times, and they explore different areas because they just keep wanting to explore more. And
differences.
we also have, I'm sure you get you're probably going to get this question a lot: how can I move to Costa Rica? And that's another discussion and stuff, but we've had a lot of interest in people buying a second home here, moving here, and even coming to work here. The government now has a special visa that you can apply that grants you to stay legally for 1 year, and you can do like a nomad type of job.
Awesome. We're just about time. So thanks again
Okay.
for your time. And again, such a pleasure. We will link everything in the text and look forward to seeing you soon in Costa Rica and our audience booking a trip very
Thank,
soon.
thank you so much, Yomi. It's always a pleasure. Namaste.
Wonderful day. Bye.